Hey there, my name is Kat Roskovics and I am a senior partner here at Fourlane. I've been with the company for almost 12 years, so all things QuickBooks. We love supporting our clients here on their journey through QuickBooks. Some of them start in Pro or Premier and then move up to Enterprise. And we definitely like to show off all of the new features of QuickBooks Enterprise as they are available. So you may have attended our recent webinar about what's new in 2023. And one of the features that was added in that 2023 version is mileage tracking. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive on that in today's session. So first off, a little bit about Fourlane and what we like to call our 4 uniques. So why you should work with Fourlane. So we are the #1 QuickBooks value added reseller, and we have been every year since 2010. That means that we get a wide range of clients, industries, processes, right? And because of that exposure, we also have an amazing consulting team as well. And one of the things that we also like to help clients do is to stay in QuickBooks. So we kind of, as it says here on this slide, dispel that myth that we're outgrowing QuickBooks, right? We hear that time and time again. Sometimes folks just need to move up to a different product. Sometimes we need to work with them to change some processes so that they can stay in product. We are also experts in accounting and software. So other firms in the ERP space are either IT or accounting focused, but don't understand the system and the financial piece. We understand both sides of that. So what works in process in, reality, right? I do this and then I do this. And then we also understand and focus on the debits and credits behind the scenes, right? We like to partner with our clients for change management. So we want to make sure that we're empowering your team to be able to implement those processes that we're recommending, or if we are making a change, whether we're, moving into QuickBooks, maybe we're adding a new app that's going to work with QuickBooks. We want to make sure that we support your team throughout that change and that we're also empowering them to be able to tackle what's going to come down the road as well. All right, so a little bit about what we're going to go through today. So we're going to be talking about mileage tracking in QuickBooks Enterprise. We're going to cover access, submission. I'm planning to show both the app submission and also how you can submit it in product, right? Approval, and then also reports for what comes next. So we're just going to get right in here to it. So go back to my home screen here. So the first thing that you'll want to do to enable this feature is come into company or edit preferences. We're going to look at company preferences, and we're going to be specifically talking about this advanced version here. So basic version might be something you're doing right now, but the advanced version is what actually allows for the linking to that app and all that fun stuff. So I'm just going to say okay here. Now, another thing that I did do was I went and added my vehicles as well. So you'll want to do that also. And you're just going to come into company and then track vehicle mileage. So this screen is similar to some of those other screens that they rolled out when you're working with transactions that are able to be integrated with the QuickBooks app. So the bill approvals, right? Taking pictures of receipts and uploading those. So this screen kind of looks similar to that screen, and we're going to use that same app to do this as well. So on this screen, we have a refresh button. So if I submit something through the app, if I hit that refresh, it'll go and pull, right? What are those new mileage submissions, basically? And then I'll be able to see those in this list. We also have some other options here. If we want to manage our vehicle list, right, we can see that if we need to add one, if we add one here, then you'd want to click refresh so that it's available as well. And then we're going to talk about this at the end, but going to that view report as well. So submitting it inside of this window, I can just simply click on this add trip. If I put in my start date, let's just say I was going to do a same day trip. So let's say I was traveling on Halloween, we'll do. And I'm going to say my end date is the same. If I had a purpose for this trip, right, I'll just say employee outing for this one. And I'm going to put my email address. If you don't see an email popping up here, like your email is not in that list, then that's also where you need to make sure that you're linking that Intuit account to your particular user. Of course, people will be able to submit mileage, even if they're not users inside of QuickBooks using that app as well. So again, it works similar to the receipt upload, right? Somebody doesn't have to be a QuickBooks user, they just have to have an Intuit account to be able to do that. And then I'm going to enter in my starting location. Let's see, we'll say that we're gonna go from Cleveland to Erie. And you can see how it will calculate our distance in miles. You also have the option for actually entering in your start and end odometer reading if you want to go about it that way as well. And I also wanted to show that you can put in here specific locations as well. So if maybe I was going to the zoo or from the zoo to Erie. I can say which vehicle it's going, what vehicle I'm using. So I'm just going to select that one. And then of course, if this is reimbursable or billable to a client, this is an employee outing one, so I'm not going to mark that as billable. This reimbursable checkbox, I've seen that here, but I do not see where it's actually allowing me to basically create that as a reimbursable expense, right? So when we talk about the reports and looking at what that mileage is, we'll be able to see what that total mileage might be due for that particular trip. They have not been successful in getting that reimbursable, checkbox to like allow me to add that to a bill for an employee as an example. So I'm just going to leave that unchecked for right now. And then if there's any notes about the trip, right? Zoo trip with consulting team. I'll just put that in here. I could enter that in and then I can say save. So if I manually add that trip, right, as a QuickBooks user, I'm logged in as my user in QuickBooks, and that trip automatically goes onto our approved list. But now what I'm going to try to do is submit one through the app. So let's see here. Okay. So I'm going to go to my QuickBooks desktop app here, and then I'm going to select track vehicle mileage in the app. I'm going to add a new one. And let's say we're going to go to, say I was meeting a client at Cedar Point, and I was traveling back to my office in Cleveland. Again, it's calculating the distance of that trip. And if I wanted to mark this as billable, I could. And I could say travel back from client meeting. I'll just put ABC company. And I'm going to click done. So you'll notice in the app, when I do hit billable, I don't have the option to select a client in here yet. So that might be something, on a future roadmap where I could actually put it to the client itself. but I'm just going to say save for right now. Now I'm going to switch back over to QuickBooks. I'm going to refresh. And then I can see that I've got this trip in here. And when I hit that approve, you can see that it opens it up so I can come in and add. So if I wanted to put this into a particular company, if I wanted to use an item that I had specifically set up for mileage, I can do that. And then I'm just going to click down here. It's kind of cut off, but I'm going to say approve. Oh, sorry, forgot to put my vehicle. I'm going to pick that here. So again, we're getting this pop-up that's telling us, right, once we approve the trip, we will not be able to make any changes. Now, if I come over to my approve tab, I can see that I've got that one in here as well. Of course, if I wanted to view that, I could, right? At this point, I can't make any changes because it's already been approved. And I'm just going to say close. So we've gone over submitting through the app, submitting through QuickBooks, approving through the app. And now we're going to look at some of the reports. So I can see those reports all right here. If I happen to be in this track vehicle mileage window, those reports are also here in our jobs, time, and mileage. So it's the same reports that are here. So that just gives you a quick way to get to them straight from that mileage screen. So I'm going to choose mileage by vehicle summary, and I can see the total mileage expense for that one, right? How much mileage I've got for each of those. And I can also customize this if I wanted to see some of the other information. So you can see this one right here as an example is marked as billable to ABCD company. So if I come in and I say create invoice, I'm going to have some billable time and costs that I can add. And I've got some mileage that I can add. And that's coming through right here. And then of course, whatever the amount is that I'm going to bill that to the client for, right? If I have a mileage charge that I assess for my client, I would have that set up as my price on my mileage item per mile, and it would put it in here. So if this was, I don't know, we'll just say $1 per mile. And I don't want to email that. And now that's been billed out. We take a look at our profit and loss in here. We can see that we put that 6530, right, came through as revenue for that mileage charge. And then of course, if I needed to, if this was an employee's personal vehicle, right, if it was like Cat's 2023 Jeep Wagoneer, then I would also be able to filter on particular vehicles so I could see how much I needed to reimburse the employee for. So over here, we've got our mileage expense amount, which is coming in with that, you know, that standard mileage rate of 58 cents per mile. So this just makes it a lot easier. I know I've had clients in the past that are doing, you know, mileage logs, right? Paper logs that they keep track of their miles on paper, and then they are bringing those in, and that's how that gets recorded. Somebody has to go through and tabulate how many miles each of those trips were, multiply it times the rate, and then get to that number that needs to be reimbursed to the employee if they are using their personal vehicle. So it's definitely a lot cleaner way to do it, especially using you know, those different vehicles and being able to filter and determine what amount needs to be, you know, reimbursed to the employee, or how much we're just billing out to those customers for that mileage. All right, so looks like we have a question in here about the mileage rate. So if we go back to company and track vehicle mileage, so we've got our mileage rates right here. That was a great question, Renee. Thanks for the reminder on this. So in here, we have the rates that the mileage is determined by the IRS. Now, if we have a different rate that we use for whatever reason, then you can also manually add your rate that you use for your company and what that effective date of that rate is. So it's one mileage rate would be effective, right? For whatever that date time period. So if you put in a new one, and I say this is a new one for, I don't know, we'll say 11/4. Let's say that rate is, oh, what do we got here? Let me see, 56 cents. Let's say we were going to do 75 cents for whatever reason. Now, when I submit new ones, that's going to be what comes in for that new, for any new mileage submissions that happen. Let me check our questions. Let's see, I don't see any unanswered questions aside from that one. So if anyone else has any other questions about how mileage works in QuickBooks Enterprise, let's see. Let me pop out this. You notice the notes does not move over. Let's see, let me start at the top here. I think we did have some questions come in. I apologize. This webinar will be posted to YouTube later. We do not currently have CPE available for these shorter sessions. We do work with the CPA Academy for the What's New in 2023 webinar, so that does have some CPE that's allowed with it. Class refers to a separate list inside of QuickBooks, so we can classify different areas of our business. So in the example, the one that I always like to use with clients is if we have a construction company that we have both a residential side and a commercial side, we might have a class set up for those because we're going to be using our expense accounts, our income accounts, our cost of goods sold accounts across both of those kind of revenue streams, if you will. So that's where that class field comes in. It does not look like the notes move over from the app during submission. Downloaded the app. Let's see, we've got one from Monica here. I downloaded the app, but I do not see an option for mileage. So this is with the 23 version. Mileage tracking window looks different or older than yours. Is it different on the accountant version? I'm not sure. I do have the accountant version loaded on here, so I'm not sure if it's if it looks different in the non-accountant version of Enterprise. I see another question here about somebody's using 21 Enterprise. So this is not something that is available in the 21 version of Enterprise. You would still have the ability to use the regular mileage, but you will not see that mileage here, right? You won't see this advanced version, which is the one that allows for submitting via the app. Is there a place we can see topics that are going to be covered in these deep dive sessions? So absolutely, what we have coming up in our next session, if I can switch back over here to my PowerPoint. The next one that I know we're going to be covering is expiration dates. And each of these is available on our Fourlane YouTube channel. So the ones that we've done in the past have been more industry focused. We've done some around property management. We've done one for law firms. We've done one for restaurants. So more industry focused. And then we decided to do this one about, kind of a deep dive on some of those rolled out features in the 23 version. The 22 Enterprise does not have it. This is only available in 23. And the app that I'm talking about is actually called QuickBooks Desktop. So if you search for that, I'm on an iPhone. It's available in the Apple Store. And in order to use that app, you would be able to have your Intuit account linked. So that's where you log into the app using your Intuit account credentials, and that's how it knows you're the user that's submitting. You are correct. This feature is not available in if we have multiple currencies turned on. Actually had to roll back and restore from a file that didn't have multiple currency turned on in order to prep for this webinar today. Let's see. Okay, I think that covers the majority of the questions. So I hope that everyone today learned a little bit more about how they can submit mileage themselves or have employees submit mileage, and that you plan to join the next webinar when we talk about expiration dates. Thanks so much.